What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Peterson. So happy that you guys are with me today. We got a loaded show for every single one of you. Starting off with the Ravens making a major roster change. Got to tell you what that is. Then after that, we're going to give you the latest on Lamar Jackson's injury status after yet another day out there on the Ravens practice field. And then we're going to wrap this thing up with some new Baltimore Ravens trade rumors. One team and the NFC has called the Baltimore Ravens about a certain position. Stick around. I'll tell you which team it is and which position it is. Before we get into any of that content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. This is our live sub counter. Right now, 39,678. You can see it to the dot. My goal, 40,000 subscribers by Sunday's game. This would be our biggest milestone by far, and I need you guys to help me out to get us there. If you haven't subscribed, make that change today. It's free to do so. All you got to do, boom, click, you're done. All right, let's get started with today's show, starting off with that major roster change. And before I tell you what it is, I need to tell you what we all know needed to be changed, because I'm going to make the understatement of the year. This offensive line has not been good. And I'll go a little bit deeper into that. More specifically, Baltimore's guards, Daniel Fowler and Andrew Voorhees, they have not been good. There's loads of film I could show you. There's loads of film I have shown you before, but I found this one recently when I was kind of re-looking at some things and studying some offensive line tape. They both make huge mistakes in one play. And I'm sure this isn't the only time. And if they continue to play, it's not going to be the last time. But they each do two different things, and they're both wrong and ended up to a little bit of a busted play. Let's start with Andrew Voorhees. You can see right there, he's in that left circle. His hands are way too wide, which opens up his chest, allows the defensive tackle to just push him back like a sled, ends up actually pushing him back into Cooper Rush. And then then Daniel Fa'alele. We've talked about this time and time again. He just doesn't seem like he's athletic enough. I know, these guys are 320 pounds. They're still athletes, and he doesn't seem that way. In this play, he's supposed to bang that defensive tackle on their hip and then go outside help with Roger Rosengarten. He misses, kind of falls off balance, and ends up not really doing anything. The good thing, though, enough talking about them, it seems like help is finally coming soon. We talked a lot about Emery Jones over the past week or so. We talked a lot about Emery Jones since he's been drafted, but I don't think when we look back at the NFL draft, we ever thought we'd need him this badly. And Jamison Hensley confirmed this big change yesterday. The Ravens will activate Emery Jones from the non-football injury list and place Tavius Robinson on injured reserve with that broken foot. As we know, Emery Jones started this year on IR. They opened up his practice window 2 weeks ago, and they have officially added him to that active roster and have activated him. Emery Jones then spoke to media at the end of yesterday's practice and said he had a good meeting with his doctor yesterday and essentially was cleared. Looks forward to being on the field soon. Says he can play guard or tackle wherever the Ravens need him. Well, I can promise you, Emery Jones, we don't need you at tackle right now. Now, I don't think you're going to see him this Sunday. In fact, I know you're not going to see him this Sunday. I don't even know if you'll see him the Sunday after that. He's still got to get back up to speed. He's got to practice. He's got to get those pass pro reps in, because he hasn't even been doing that with his shoulder. But eventually, I believe you will see him in this starting lineup. Okay? He said, I'm finally here yesterday. No preference for his position. He'll go where he's needed, and he is needed. Okay? We all know that. We all feel that. We all believe that. It is a massive, monster roster change. And I'm excited to see what happens with it. Now what we have to do is take the roster change and make it a depth chart change. Make it a depth chart move. Because with what you've got coming up, a lot of these games are winnable. We've talked about it a ton. But you're going to face in Week 10 and Week 11 two of the better defenses, two of the better defensive lines in the National Football League. You better be ready. Now, I don't know when he'll play among these. I think it kind of depends on how these next couple of games go. But if you continue to struggle on the offensive line for weeks 8 and 9, I would not be surprised at all if Week 10 on the road to Minnesota, you saw Emery Jones in the lineup. Make the call. Which week will Jones be starting by? You let me know down below in that comment section. Weigh in with your answer. Up next, Lamar Jackson. Let's talk about his injury. This is something we have been monitoring like crazy the second we got that news yesterday. We got a video out. We went live about as quickly as we could, and he showed up to practice again today. Joe Schaefer, the one breaking the news this morning. This time, he jogged out behind Cooper Rush and Tyler Huntley. Yesterday, he had a little bit of a late entrance, and he'll likely be listed as a limited participant in practice today. But even though he was limited today like he was yesterday, Cordell Woodland kind of let us know that he's doing a little bit more than he did the day prior during the media viewing period. Now, does that mean he was taking first-team reps? No. Does that mean he was taking second-team reps? No, it does not. But I'm here to tell you, small increments, maybe small increments, that's all I care about. That's all I'm excited for. I just want to see him take those baby steps to eventually be ready to go. I imagine this will be a game time decision. Like, I think that's what it's going to be labeled as, although I feel like their mind is already made up at this point. Todd Monken spoke after practice just about 30 minutes ago, and he was asked about Lamar Jackson. He said he looked really good. Step forward today. There we go. Baby steps. Then he was asked about the availability. He says if he's ready to go, I'm ready to go. And I can promise you this, Lamar Jackson is ready to go. You are 1-5. You cannot waste any more of these games. They are now must-wins because of what you did the first 6 weeks of the season. You have to win these football games, and I think our defense has showed us you can't really win these games without Lamar Jackson. My opinion, like if he wasn't going to play on Sunday, why not just sit him the rest of this week and get him another full week of rest and then bring him back to practice next week early for that Thursday night game against the Dolphins? That makes a lot more sense to me than bringing him back the week before just so he can get some extra limited reps. Like, that doesn't compute necessarily to me because I think we all believe and we know that Lamar Jackson doesn't necessarily need 2 full weeks of practice to go. I talked about this yesterday, but I want to reiterate it. This is what I want to see against Chicago, okay? 0 running from him. I still want to see Derrick Henry be leaned on heavily in the offense. I want the defense to create some big plays, keep some of that pressure off of Lamar's shoulders. I need the wide receivers to create big plays, keep that pressure off of the run game with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. And I want Lamar to be out there and look like he's healthy enough to play. I don't want him going out there and looking like he's rushed. What do you think the percent chance that Lamar Jackson plays against Chicago? You let me know by scaling it for me 1 to 100 in the comment section down below. I have something that I have a 100% chance of you guys liking, and that is our great friends over at Prize Picks. Look, you and I, we make decisions every single day. How we're going to get to work, what we're going to eat for lunch, what you're going to watch on TV that night after you're finished eating dinner. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You could double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. I'm feeling really good about these 2 Prize Picks options for some college football this Saturday. Marcel Reed, 219.5 pass yards. I think A&M's great, but LSU's defense is really, really good. I'm going to go less on that. Arch Manning stinks. I'm going to go less on 220.5 passing yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We're going to wrap up today's show by giving you some new Baltimore Ravens trade rumors. Easton Butler is where these originate from. If you don't know much about Easton, I wouldn't expect you to. He covers the Green Bay Packers. He's a writer for the Packers Report, or the Packer Report, and he's got some pretty good sources. I don't want to say he's as tapped in as Ricky Scoops is, but he called the Micah trade from his sources about 2 days before it happened. He called that the Green Bay Packers were shopping Kingsley and Igbari, and then like 2 days later, ESPN reported that same thing. So I've got trust in Eason Butler. Well, he reported late last night that the Packers have been making calls leading up to the deadline, including to the running back position. With the running back position, the Packers have called the Miami Dolphins, New York Giants, New Orleans Saints, and the Baltimore Ravens. And I guarantee you, they're trying to talk Keaton Mitchell. They're not going to call about Derrick Henry. I don't think they're interested in Justice Hill. And I think they know that the Baltimore Ravens are at least thinking of dealing Keaton Mitchell. Honestly, like, this would not surprise me one bit if this is something that ends up happening. I would be more surprised if the trade was to the Green Bay Packers, but I would not be surprised if Keaton Mitchell ended up getting dealt. ESPN, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this article tomorrow, listed Keaton Mitchell as an honorable mention trade target. In their article they released yesterday, they said 25 players most likely to get traded, and they said Keaton Mitchell is going to be an honorable mention for the final 10 of that list, I guess from 26 to 35. ESPN's been all over this. Jeremy Fowler talked about it last week, saying here's a change of pace option. Baltimore's Keaton Mitchell. He has game-changing speed, but is the odd man out in the Ravens' backfield. It's worth noting that Chargers GM Joe Hortiz was with Baltimore when the team signed Mitchell as an undrafted free agent in 2023. And we know he's the odd man out in this running back room because his status so far started off the season with 4 straight healthy scratches, inactives. And then he was actually activated, but of those snaps that he's gotten, only 7 of them in 2 games have been actually at the running back position. And I love Keaton Mitchell. I do. Man, I loved watching him in that preseason game 1 against Indianapolis. But if you could flip him for a defensive lineman, a defensive player, I would be 100% in. And that's because they don't utilize him. Now, if they utilized him like we all think they should and all think they could, then I'd like to keep him, but they're not using him. I'd rather go take him, get a defensive player in a trade, than just have him sit in the corner collecting compliments. Would you trade Keaton Mitchell for a defensive player? You let me know in the comment section down below. Give me a yes or a no with your answer. That's going to do it. Make sure you got me followed on social media at Joey Peterson, both of those platforms. Great show today, I thought. Not to tap myself on the back, but I had a lot of fun doing it. I have fun talking Ravens every day. Hope you guys have fun watching. If you do, make sure you subscribe.